So last time, so we have seen that given a finite group G, so we constructed, so we defined a topological invariant. So Zg of sigma of closed oriented surfaces sigma. And we defined this invariant using so this vector space, this element, so GHK is 1. In V tensor V, and a form on V tensor V, so which was defined, I think, as mu G tensor H G delta GH1. Okay. So that's what we have done last time. And you have seen during the exercise session that this counts the number of homomorphisms from the pi1 of the surface to G. So we want to generalize this construction. So invariant. So let's call it state sum invariant of closed surfaces. Okay. So what do we do? So let us define the following. So I will say that the state sum triple, what is it? Is triple V A mu, and where V is a finite dimensional K vector space. Here K is a field. No? A is in the tensor product of V tensor V tensor V, 3 times V. So here the tensor product is of course over K. And mu, we want a form. And of course, we want to repeat the definition we have given here. So we need to impose some condition on A and mu. So such that, so what are the conditions? So I would then so A to 3 of A is A, B mu is symmetric, C it is mu 3, 4, 8 tensor A is symmetric, so and the fourth relation D is what? It's A is equal to mu 1, 9, mu 3, 4, mu 6, 7. Okay. Okay. So here, what I mean? So here, what is tau n? It's just a flip, so it is from the tensor product of the n times to itself and x defined like this, x1 times x2 xn maps to, so you make a circular permutation, so x2 xn times x1. So this is a circular permutation, and mu ig denotes the contraction of the is and this component using the form mu. Okay. Okay, so let us define the invariant using such a triple. Okay. So state some triple. And we want to consider a compact oriented. Okay. So first, maybe I consider just a closed. Sigma be a closed oriented surface. Okay. So you pick a triangulation T of sigma. So what do you do now? You do as before. To each triangle, you assign a copy of the element A to each triangle. Using the orientation of the surface, of course. So the orientation of the surface induces an orientation of a triangle, and we put A, let's say, blue A, like this, for example, 1, 2, 3. We follow the orientation. And now you contract along each edge using mu. So if you have, so see, the edge, each edge is adjacent to two triangles because the surface has no boundary. So you can contract using, let's say, mu. Okay. So what do we obtain? So we obtain a number of C which depends on the triangulation for now. In K. A priori, it depends on the triangulation. Okay. So why it is well defined? Why is this construction well defined? So what are the indeterminacies here? So here we need to choose which is, we only know a cyclic orientation of the edge of a triangle. But by A, the tensor A is invariant under cyclic permutation. So never mind which one is the first for A here. And again, when we contract, never mind which tensor one we contract first, because by B, the form mu is symmetric. So this is well defined by A and B. So, in fact, this defines a topological invariant. So let's say, I don't know, CON. So if E mu is the state sum triple, then we can this number does not depend on T and is a topological invariant of sigma. Okay. So if you remember from last time, what do we have to verify here? We need to verify that this number is invariant under the Pachner moves and homeomorphism and isotopy. Okay, so let us consider the Pachner move 2, 2. Okay, so I recall, so you have two triangles, and what you do this. So, in the first situation, so we assign, we know that we assign A to each constraint, and here you contract with mu. So, what do you obtain? So I put, so for example, the orientation of the surface is like this. So I need to put number. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this gives, so you contract we contract the factor 3 and 4. So mu 3, 4 of A tensor A is belong to, let's say, V1 tensor V2 tensor V3 tensor V4. So here, they are just copy of I. So Vi are just copy of V. But here, for example, the V1 corresponds to here V1, V2, V3, V4. So we do the same computation from the other side. So we have A. So we put some mu. So here, again, I need to put some number. So 1, 2, 3, respecting the orientation. So 4, 5, 6. So what does it give? So this give, so again, mu 3, 4 of A tensor A. But in what? Here we have V4, V1, V2, V3. But this is in V4 tensor V1, V2 tensor V3. So now if I apply the cyclic permutation, I obtain a number, a vector in V1 tensor V4. We have the same space here, and of course we want that this vector agrees. So, and these vectors are the same. This is the condition C of a good triple. Okay. Okay, and we do the same thing for the 1-3 Wagner move. Okay, so if I say Wagner 1-3, so this is this move. I consider bicentric subdivision of the triangle. So here I have so A here. So let's say 1, 2, 3. So this gives A in. So here the copy V1, V2, V3. So yeah, I need to have V1, V2, V3. So now I have 3A and mu's. Yeah. So now, so again, here's the orientation like this. So I number the legs of each A using the orientation. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this gives what? So you have 3 times A. And now you contract. So 1 and 9, 3, 4, 6 and 7. And again, this is. So here we need that this vector agrees. So, and they indeed agree using this is condition D. And clearly, Z V mu of sigma T, so is invariant under isotopies and orientation preserving homomorphism. Because here the configuration in this case are the same. So this proves, by Wagner theorem, this proves that we obtain a topological invariant of the closed surface sigma. So let us see an example. The example is the following. Okay. So we look at this sphere, S2. So for the triangulation of the sphere is this one with 4 triangles, 6 vertices, 6 edges and 4 vertices. So the triangulation of S2. So assume that the orientation is like this. So the orientation. Okay. So we assign A. So just put a dot to each face, each triangle. So we have another A below, and on the face below again. So red dots here correspond to A. And then we put some mu's at each edge. Now we need to orient, to number the edges following the legs of the tensor A using the orientation. So for example, I don't know, I can say 1 for this face. I use the 1, 2, 3. Now the orientation is this one, so 4, 5, 6. Now I look on the triangle behind.
Could you connect the two red points on a straight line?
Where? This.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a mu. There is 6 mu's. 1 mu for each edge. So this is mu, and this is A. So we need to orient the legs of the A's. So here, for example, I take 6. No, 6 here. So 7. Now the orientation. Here I choose the orientation of, I see the sphere as the boundary of B3. I use the outgoing orientation. So the outgoing orientation this way, we turn this other way. So 8, this leg is 8, 9, and then 10, 11, 12. Okay. So here, what do I obtain? That so this gives that V A mu S2 is equal to, so we have 4 copies of A, and now we contract. So mu 1, 9, mu 3, 4, mu 6, 7, mu 5, mu 8, 10, and mu 2, 12. Okay, and you obtain a number. This is a variable. And here you can check. You can see that 1, 9, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8 tensor A tensor A is just A by D. And using D, this is equal to, so it remains what? 2A. And so we have 1, 6, mu 2, 5, mu 3, 4. You can check this. Okay. Okay. So this, so we construct an amount of closed surface. So surfaces without boundary. So let us explore the case of surfaces with boundary. What happens when the surfaces have boundary? So we need to define, so first, I need to define what is the triangulation of a curve. So I say, so an arc by, let's say, an edge of a compact one-dimensional manifold. So I will call this one manifold. C is the image of an embedding of let's say I would just consider only closed, compact, without boundary, one manifold. That's just a disjonctionant of circle, finite disjonctionant of circle. Here, let's see. So I can have, for example, here's the disjoint union of two circles. So this is my C, and I just embed the interval into C. And the images of 0 and 1 are called the vertices of the edge. Okay. So this is like now, and again, what is a triangulation? Of C. So there is a finite set T of edges in C. I would say instead of off, I say in. Same thing. So in C, so such that what we want that the edge is recover the one manifold, the curve. The edges of T, they cover C. And the second, two edges intersect only at a vertex. So the intersection of two distinct edges of T is either empty or a vertex. Okay. So let's see, for example, for the circle S1. So I will, let's say, do this one. So I take this one. So I can do this. I can do this. I know. So what do you think? Is the first a triangulation of the circle?
No, because it would not be elementic.
Yeah. So not a triangulation. No, this is not an MBD. Huh? The image of 0 and 1 are the same. So again, this is not a triangulation because there is this edge has two vertices in common. And this is a triangulation with 3 edges and 3 vertices. Okay. Okay, and the Wagner theorem has the following generalization. So, if I consider let sigma be a compact surface okay. So, and you consider, let's say, T delta be a triangulation of the boundary of sigma. The boundary of sigma is a closed one manifold, and so we consider a triangulation and so on. So what can we say? Then there is a triangulation, let's call it T of the surface, such that so which extending T delta, meaning that each edge of T delta is an edge of T. This means this. So we can extend the triangulation. If you have a triangulation of the boundary, you can extend it to a triangulation of the surface. And second, we have that two such triangulations relations of the surface sigma are related by a finite sequence of isotopies. Of course, the isotopies must be the identity on the boundary, relative and Wagner moves to 2 and 1, 3. And the inverse. The inverse of the, so the inverse of 2, 2 is 2, 2, but the inverse of 1, 3 is 3, 1. Okay, so we have this generalization of the Wagner theorem So let's see just an example. So example. So I consider the disk, B2. Okay. So the boundary of the disk is a circle. Okay. Now, if I consider this triangulation of the circle, so T delta, so triangulation of the boundary of B2. Okay. So I want to extend here to a triangulation of B2. So what can I? So here I will. So okay. So for example, so I extend in, let's say in blue. Okay. So what do you think? So these are triangulation of B2, say extending T delta. So here you have one triangle. Here you have 3 triangles. And here you have 6 triangles. 5. Okay, and you pass from here to here by a Pagner 1-3, and again, you apply Pagner 1-3 for example for this triangle, you obtain this triangulation. Okay. So this is an example of the. Let's see another example. On the, let's say, I don't know. Okay. I consider, for example, sigma is the torus with one wall. One hole. So okay, the torus with one hole. Okay, so delta sigma here. The boundary is again S1, and you can choose, as you see, from this triangulation of the boundary. Okay, so I can see this like this. The torus is obtained from the square by identifying opposite sides. So I have a hole, and I have, so this is this, and I have my triangulation here. Okay, so what can I do? For example, as before, so I'll take my triangulation. This was my surface. Okay, so maybe I should have write it. in blue. Okay, I forgot this one. Okay. And you have a triangulation of sigma extending the one of its boundary. Okay. Okay, let's see another example. Last example, let's say the cylinder. Okay. Okay. So the boundary, the cylinder is the disjoint union of two circles. And for example, I consider again this triangulation of the boundary, so let's call it T delta. And what can I choose? So T delta again. So what I have? I identified just two opposite sides of the plane square. So here I have the 3 edges of the first circle and the 3 edges of the other circle. So what can I do? Okay, this is a triangulation of sigma extending T delta. Okay. Okay, so we have the notion of triangulation of a surface with boundary. And what we want to do is to associate an invariant. So we consider a state on triple VA mu. Okay. So first, what we do? So if we have a closed one manifold and a triangulation T of C, we set, so let's say we define this vector space. What do? You assign V to each H. So V, tensor V, the number of edges of T. For example, C is S1 and the triangulation has 3 edges, T. V S1 T is V tensor V tensor V. It's quite clear. And what you can set. So I will consider the empty set as one manifold. And so if C is empty, In this case, triangulation is also empty. So set V empty, empty. Just the ground field K. The tensor product of 0 vector space is an easy ground field. Okay. And maybe I make a remark. If C1, C2 are closed one manifold and T1, T2 are triangulation of C1 and C2. So what can we say? Then we have that the disjoint union of the triangulation this is a triangulation of the disjoint union of C1 and C2. This is quite clear. And by definition, we have canonical isomorphism C1. V C1 T1 V C2 T2. So it's clear. So this is C1. So this is C2. I take triangulation like this. So here, so T1, T2. And so V, C1, T1 is V times 3. V, C2, T2 is V O times 7. And V, C1, disjoint union is V 7. And this is, of course, isomorphic to tensor 3 O times V tensor 4. Okay. This is evident.
You mean 10?
I mean 10, of course. 7 plus 3 is 10. Thanks. Okay. And so we have assigned a vector space to a triangulated one manifold next time. So after the break, we will see how to assign a vector to a surface with boundary. Okay. So maybe we make a break. Okay. So we have associated a vector space to any triangulated one manifold, closed one manifold. Now, consider a compact oriented surface sigma. So it may have a boundary. And so you consider a triangulation T delta of the boundary of sigma. So now we play the same game. So we assign the tensor A to each triangle. So first, sorry. So you pick a triangulation T of sigma extending the triangulation of its boundary. Now we play the same game. We assign A to each triangle of T as before, using the orientation of sigma, and contract along the edges, but only the anterior edges of T. What does it mean? This means the edges. The edges of T not in the boundary, that is in T delta. Again, using mu. So, what do we obtain? So we obtain a vector in what? In the tensor product, so in this vector space. So for example, let's see the example. I'd say as sigma is 0, the cylinder. So we have seen this triangulation. So you consider the square and the triangulation of this boundary, T delta, and the triangulation T extended, that of the boundary, you take for example this one. So here, V C T delta is V times 6. 1V for each copy, and then what you do, you assign again, let's go, you assign A to each triangle. So maybe I remove the plain thing because we cannot see anything. So this is the triangulation. So this is T is the triangulation of the cylinder extending that of the boundary. We put some A to each triangle. So we contract along the edge. And I miss something like this. And so this is A. And we have mu's here. Mu. We contract only along the entire edges. Mu. There is a mu. So this is mu. And in this case, what do we obtain? A vector in V tensor V tensor V tensor V tensor V tensor 6. It is here. So this vector is well defined. So here the surface is oriented. So we assign A following the orientation. So this is the condition A and B of a state sum triple. It is invariant under Wagner moves. This is the same proof as before by C and D. And is invariant under isotopies and orientation préservée homéomorphisme of sigma. So in particular, it does not depend on T extending, on the triangulation of the surface extending that of the boundary. And so we denote it by the V A mu of sigma T delta. Maybe I wrote it there by what? So I put this.
Sorry, it doesn't depend on the extent.
On the triangulation.
It doesn't.
Does not. Sorry, thank you. Does not depend. So it's like before. Huh? Does not depend on the triangulation. And so we just denote it like as follows. We denote it by, so we have a vector, the V A mu. It depends on the sigma, of course, and only on the triangulation of its boundary. And it is a vector in this vector space. And for example, if we compute so, for example, that V A mu S1 of the cylinder with this T delta it is equal to what? So you can compute it. So we need to put so there is an orientation of the surface. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Okay, so here we can see this is. So A tensor A so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you just contract here, you, so I cannot see, so 2, 16, no, 3, 16, so 3, 16, then you contract 2, 4, 5, 7, 5, 7, mu 9, 9, 11, 9, 10. So mu 9, 10, mu, etc., etc. 11, 12, 15, 18. 11. 15, 18, I think. And this is an V, this, which is So the boundary is V. So, okay. So we have now a top. So this vector, you.
Sorry, there is 4 A's or 6 A's in the bracket?
6 A's. One for each triangle. There is 6 A's. Okay. And of course, this is a topological invariant of the pair, the compact oriented surface, and a triangulation of the boundary. So, what we want now? We would like to get rid of the triangulation of the boundary. So the question is how to how to I don't know how to write it off. We want to obtain something which is independent of the triangulation of the boundary. And of course, this vector does depend. It belongs to a vector space that depends on the triangulation. Okay, so we need the notion of a cobordism. So, now, what is it? A two-dimensional. So let's say a two-cobordism is a quadruple. Alors, let's say sigma C0, C1H. Where what? Where? C0 and C1 are closed, oriented, one manifolds. Sigma is a compact oriented surface, two manifolds of surface. And H is a map from minus C0 disjunction on C1 to the boundary of sigma. So we want this to be an orientation preserving homeomorphism. And what is the opposite of C0 is just C0 with opposite orientation. Okay, so let's see something like this. So let's say so C0 is just, let's say, one circle, one oriented circle. C2, C1 is, let's say, three oriented circle. And so sigma is this one, for example. So this is the surface sigma. So what is the boundary? The boundary of sigma is this. This curve. So this is the boundary of sigma here. So the surface sigma is oriented. The orientation of the surface induces an orientation on its boundary. Okay. And so we have C0 and union disjoint of disjoint union. So the opposite of C0 and C1, and by H, we have an orientation preserving homomorphism. Yeah. So this is H. This is a two cobordism. So maybe you can see an example. So I can take the cylinder. You can see as a cobordism from S1 to S1 is H. So here, what is the boundary of S1, the cylinder? So we take the product orientation, so the boundary it is you have S1 cross 0, disjoint union of S1 cross 1. Okay, so we have this. So this is S1 cross 1, and this is cross 0. And H, what is H here? So it is quite clear. When X is negative S1, you put it in X0, and when X is in S1, send to X1. This is H. So now we distinguish incoming boundary and outcoming boundaries. Okay, the incoming part of the boundary and outcoming part of the boundaries. Okay. Now we let sigma C0, C1, H be a two cobordism from C0 to C1. Like this. So peak triangulation T0 of C0 and T1 of C1. So here we have a triangulation T0 of the incoming of C0 and T1 of C1. So if I transport it using H, then H of T0 is a triangulation of H of C0, and H of T1 is a triangulation of h of C1. So here we have this part is h of C0, this part is h of C1, and the triangulation here, if you have a homeomorphism, you can transport it. And consequently, what we obtain is that h of T0, the disjoint union, is a triangulation of the boundary h of C0, h of C1. So you have a triangulation of the boundary. So and so we obtain a vector. So let's call it V, or let's call it U. It is Z VA mu of sigma HT0 disjoint union of HT1. And this vector belongs to what vector space? So it is in the space V of what? Of the boundary of sigma with respect to this triangulation. So this is V of HT0 and HT1. No, sorry, HC0, C1, HT0, disjoint union HT1. Okay. So now, as we have seen, there is a canonical isomorphism to V of H C0 HT1 T0 tensor product with the vector space associated to HC1 HT1. And of course, this is isomorphic to V of C0 T0 tensor of V of C1 T1. Okay, so we have, if you have a cobordism, you have a vector in this space. A cobordism whose incoming and outgoing boundary are triangulated. Okay, so next, you can remark that this form mu it induces a Kähler map let's call it, I don't know, gamma, to what? To V, from V to V star. It is defined to vector X. You have mu X times dot. So a bilinear form induces a morphism like this. So it is symmetric. Huh? It's a bilinear form, so never mind on what side you plug X. So you have the association adjoint map. Huh? And now, what can you do? So consider then. So you have this vector mu in this space. You can apply gamma the number times of what? Of the edges of T0. The identity of V C2 T2 of the vector mu. It belongs to what? It belongs to the dual of V times the number of edges of T0 times V of what? C1 T1. So this is isomorphic to C, the vector space associated to C0 T0, the dual, O times V of C1 T1, and this is isomorphic to K of V C0 T0, V C1 T1. Of course, here we used that for finite dimensional K vector spaces. What do we have? We have that mu tensor V, the dual of mu tensor V is canonically isomorphic to dual of U times the dual of V, and that the dual of U O times V is the same thing as the moment K-linear homomorphism from U to V. In this isomorphism, this is isomorphism. Okay, so we obtain a linear map. So if we have a cobordism sigma from C1 to C2, we obtain a K-linear map. I denote it by Z of sigma T0 T1 from V C0 T0 to V C1 T1. Okay. So to any cobordism of dimension 2, we associated a K-linear map from the vector space associated to its incoming boundary to the vector space associated to its outcoming boundary. So let's see an example. So the example of this cobordism, the cylinder, from previous example. So
sorry, that's S1 cross 0.
0, 1.
But S1 cross that? No, don't be the first argument.
Sorry, S1 cross 0, 1, S1, S1. So the cylinder, as before. So what? So what do we? So we have some A's. Do you? Okay, and here we plug some. The plugs do not remember the color. We have some mu here. So what do you obtain? Well, we have obtained previously a vector space in V, O times V, O times V, O times V, O times V. So this was the vector space in, so this was the U here, U belongs to E times this. Now we apply gamma. So what this is? So this means that we apply gamma. This means that we apply mu. Okay. And so this corresponds to gamma. So this corresponds to gamma. And so we end up with this linear form from the incoming boundary to the outgoing boundary, to the linear map. Okay. So next, now we are ready to get rid of the triangulation. Of course, these maps, again, does depend on the triangulation of the boundary. But now we have some properties. So, of course, you can glue two cobordisms, and you want to compare the associated linear maps. So, first, consider two cobordisms. So let's say sigma 0 from C0 to C1 with H0, and sigma 1 from C1 to C2, H1. Okay. So we have, okay. So we have two cobordisms, one from C0 to C1, another one from C1 to C2. So we want to glue along C1. So what do you know? You know that, so we have H0. So we want to glue the two surfaces along their common boundary, which is H0 of C1 to H1 of C1. So this map is H0 minus 1 H1. So the restriction of this map to H0 of C1 is an homomorphism. So you can consider sigma is gluing. So sigma 0, you glue along this isomorphism the two surfaces. So the boundary is then H0 of C0 union H0 of C1. And so now you can define H, C2. So X in X0, you say to H0 X0. You know, if you have X in C2, you map to H1 of X.
Sorry. The boundaries will be H0 of C0 and H1 of C2.
You have C2 here. So voilà. Here, so the map H1 of C2. Okay, so then you obtain this two cobordism from C0 to C2 with H. Is a two cobordism called the gluing of sigma 0 and sigma 1 along C1. Okay. So you can glue cobordism. Okay. Okay. Graphically, it's quite clear. So C0, C1, C1, C2, sigma 0, sigma 1. This is H0 of C1, H1 of C1, H1 of C2, H0 of C0. And here you identify. So this is the isomorphism. So you glue and you end up with a coordinate from C0 to C2. Okay, and the properties is the following, that peak triangulation T0, T1, T2 of C0, C1, C2. So you have T0, T1, T1, T2, T0, T2. Then what do we have? That the linear map associated to the coordinate sigma is a composite of the linear map sigma 0, sigma 1 associated to the. Okay, so the gluing of coordinates is respect the composition. Okay, so this is quite clear. So the proof is quite so. Let's say it is almost evident. Okay, so you have the same triangulation of T1. So the triangulation, so H0, so the triangulation, so this corresponds to T1. So you pick triangulation of the surfaces which extend the triangulation. So, and you look at the construction. When you look at the construction, you can see that you have the A's for each triangle. So on the outcoming boundary, you leave this V as it is, but here you plug gamma. So at the incoming boundary, recall that you have the gamma here. And so when you glue, this corresponds to make the state sum on the gluing. So I leave you the detail of the proof, but it is quite, if you do understand the construction, it is quite clear that we have this property. And then we can now get rid of the triangulation of the boundary as follows. So for a closed, so consider a closed oriented one manifold C. Now, for triangulations T and T prime of C, you can define what? You can consider the cylinder on C. You can define P, C, T, T prime is the linear map associated to the cobordism sigma cross 0, 1. With the incoming boundary, you put T. The outcoming boundary, you put T prime. This is from VCT to VCT prime. So you have a linear map like this. And the proposition so this last property and this proposition tells us that if you compose, so P, C, T, T prime, you can compose with it P, C, T, T prime is P, C, T, T prime prime. This follows for the gluing of two cylinders is a cylinder. If you have T prime, this one, you end up with T and T prime prime. So by the proposition, you obtain this. In other words, what do we have? Then we have a projective system. So we finish then. VCT, PCT, T prime. When T and T prime run along all the triangulation of C, is a projective system. And so we can take the projective limit and we define this vector space C, ZOC is a projective limit in T of this system. In other words, what does it mean? This means that you consider this space. The space of Vt sequence belongs to the product along the triangulation of VCT, such that P, C, T, T prime of Vt, Vt prime for all T, T prime. So this is a vector space, and this will be our vector space. And so finally, I just need to define the linear map, and we are done. So for two cobordism sigma from C0 to C1, we define this linear map. I should say dA mu from Z dA mu of C0 to Z mu of C1. So what I do, here I have a family of in this space. So what can I do? I can do this. I can consider the VA mu of sigma from T0 tilde T1 of V T0 tilde T1 where tilde is fixed, is some fixed triangulation of C0. And so what do we have? This map does not depend on the choice of T. And I finish with this. This has not depend on the choice of the fixed triangulation of the incoming component. Why? Because the Z of sigma, si I take another one, T1, V T prime 0 tilde. So this is Z of sigma T0 tilde T1 composed Z of sigma composed of Z of the cylinder. If you glue the cylinder to a surface, you do not change. So this is C0 T. So this map is P C0 T tilde prime T0 prime. And so this is my definition of the vector space of the projective limit. This is indeed no, it is T0 prime, sorry. It is T0 prime, so this is V tilde 0. And you can see that this does not depend on the choice of the fixed triangulation. And for the next time, you can prove this. You have these properties that Z of, if you take Z of the cylinder is the identity of Z of C, and Z of, if you glue sigma 0 and sigma along a component, this is Z of sigma 1. Okay. So you can prove this for next time. And these properties actually tell us that we obtain a topological quantum field theory. So next time, I will define the notion of a topological quantum field theory, and I will explain that this is a two-dimensional TQFT. And then we will classify all two-dimensional TQFT. Okay.
This Z of C here is a three-dimensional vector space. Yes?
Z of C, yeah. Yeah, because you can do this exercise. We have, so, P T prime of C. So if you take one manifold C, close one manifold C and the triangulation. So this is from VCT to VCT. And the proposition tells us that, so let's say, pi, so, is a projector. PCTT square is PCTT. So this is a proposition which tells us that. We use the proposition for T prime and T prime prime all equal to T. And that you can prove that our vector space is just the image of this projector. So it will be finite dimensional. So you can try to do this for next time. Okay.